What's up, everybody? Round two. I didn't hit record the first time, but now we're here. Hi, my name is Gage. This is an episode of Out of Our League. Very special one we've been looking forward to for a long time. Over there, far left-hand corner, joining us is Al, the Predator Tribesman.
Hello, hello.
Down below him is Josh at JC Lego Man.
How's it?
Down in the middle, next to Josh, we have Philip J. Woodward.
Hey everybody, I just want to say, Andy, you're pretty good.
You're pretty good, kid.
Down below me is Robin GL.
Hiya, what's up?
Down at the very bottom, Bennett, please be excited.
What's up?
And joining us, very special guest today. Gotta remember it, I'm bringing it all back. The Hispanic heartthrob, the Texas Street Latino heat, clicking heads and ripping them to shreds. The globe-shotting, head-trotting NitroRifle from Twitch.tv. Andy Cortez.
So close, kid. Can we take a take three? Can we do a third take?
Can we bring it back?
At least to the first good one.
I like flipped some of those, didn't I?
Yeah, towards the end, but it's okay. It's okay,
It's the
Gabe.
headshot and globe-trotting. Not
There it is, yeah.
Yeah,
Pleasure to be
Whatever,
here,
close
everybody.
enough.
head trotting, globe shotting.
Yeah. I guess it kind of sounds right. Maybe I could hop on people's heads. I don't know.
So
All we know is that you're not throwing away your shot, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Cannot do that.
that's true. How you doing today, Andy?
I'm doing great. I'm eating an apple. I introduced you all to all the Discord settings that make it so your voices just don't get trampled on. And now you can eat a full apple with full effect.
True Andy Apple ASMR.
It's a
Perfect.
great world.
There it is. That's incredible.
Awesome.
How about that?
How about that? So, first question for Andy, I guess it's kind of for those of you who don't know, those of you out there who don't know who Andy is. I don't know why you're here. I mean, we all know who Andy is. He's the NitroRifle. But Andy, who are you? Why would people know Andy Cortez?
Let's see. I averaged 4 points in middle school basketball. 4 points a game. 4 key points, right? Like the ones that really matter towards the end. I thought I was going to be on the A team because I thought I was really good, and then played against real actual other kids, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not that good, so I went to the B team. And you all would probably know me if you search certain hashtags on Instagram, like gaming clips and Twitch clips and all this stuff. I post a lot of silly things over there for my Twitch streams. I work for Kinda Funny. I owe my career to Greg Miller. Well, to Bernie Burns, right? But Greg Miller as well. And yeah, I started working at Kinda Funny in 2017 and was originally hired on to be an editor, but we all knew what was going to happen. Right? We knew a savior had to come in and save the company, and yeah, and so that's about what I do. I joined the squad to become an editor, and then eventually started popping up more on camera. And I think a lot of that was due to the 30-second reviews and Tim really kind of seeing something in those and realizing, oh, he can also do a bunch of art stuff and contribute in other ways, like getting on camera and just being an idiot popping up on the morning show. And yeah, and ever since then, the roles have just expanded exponentially. I feel like I'm doing a lot of stuff now, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah. It's really cool to kind of have my voice on not only the movie reviews, but now doing more games content, which is what I'd wanted to do for a while, especially since we don't have shows like KFAF anymore. It's really fun to lend my or party mode. Yeah, it's fun to lend my sense of humor to other, have them in other avenues, I guess.
Yeah, it's been great watching you evolve and be on more content over the years.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been having a blast with it. It's been a lot of work, but it's been really fun, and it's stuff that I know my limitations. I also think I'm really way too hard on myself most of the time with my knowledge when it comes to the games industry, which is one reason why I was always so hesitant to be on Games Daily. because I know that I just don't have that knowledge. Like it'd be asking, Cool Greg to get on Games Daily. Like I just don't know, right? So I don't want to pretend to talk about what I don't know, but I can talk about what I think makes what makes video games good and what makes video games bad, and I can talk about the development process. And so I think I offer sort of a bit of a more unique perspective on those lines. So I've been really enjoying it, and I'm glad that Tim was like, yeah, dude, if you want to be like, please, we want you on. We just know you do a lot of shit, and so I'm glad that they are lenient with me that way. Where Tim will say, you know what, take off whenever you need to. So I have incredible bosses.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So is the plan to take over Nick's spot once he retires next year? Is that kind of like the long-term goal?
I mean, he'd been wanting to retire for a while. Yeah, once you hit that age, I know he bought a boat. No, he didn't buy a boat. No, because then I would have to do the taxes. Absolutely not. I don't want any part of that.
You just
I
hire
don't want
somebody
any
else to
part
do
of the
that part.
financial responsibilities. No, thank you. No, thank you.
You'd have to sign checks and misspell Philip J. Woodward's name on them.
No,
Is that a thing? Did that happen?
it may have.
Oh.
It may have. Tickly Monster Inc. may have misspelled my name.
I am not shocked. I am not shocked.
The check's still cleared though, so we're okay.
Well, that's good because the amount of times that I've kind of looked at the date and been like, "Hey, Cool Greg, did you get paid?" No. Like, yeah, I figured. Shit. It happens. It happens.
Just Nick at home playing Warzone on his inverted mouse. Like, did I forget to do something? Or whatever.
No, this is way before he even thought he wanted to continue to play video games. Luckily, it hasn't happened in a long time, so I give Nick a lot of credit.
Just at home rewatching Lethal Weapon for the 7th time that week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like watching a Pauly Shore movie or something. Like, God damn it, you're useless. You are useless.
While we've got Nick on the subject, we have a community question from Marisi Boy that says, charismatic, talented, comedic genius, handsome, musically gifted, athletic, pro gaming skills, kindness, humble, and genuine. These are all the traits that everyone associates with Nick Scarpino. What's it like working with him, Andy?
Yeah. And Nick is a nightmare. He really is. He really can bring out the worst in you, and I feel like it's been my role more and more to point out what an idiot he is so much of the time. But I love him, and he's behind the scenes, behind the scenes we still fuck around. I'm not gonna act like behind the scenes it's completely professional, because it's not. There are so many times when the show hasn't even started, it's like, we're not on camera, right? Or we're in a meeting, it's like, guys, we're not recording a podcast. Like, why are you and Greg making like jokes at Kevin? This is not, we're not doing a podcast right now. So the amount of times that happens, I'm not going to act like it's 100% professional behind the scenes, because it is not. But Nick's amazing. He's super smart. He's clever. During our KFAF run, there were so many weeks that I leaned on him for ideas. He was always the type to bring up an idea that I'd maybe think, I don't know if that's gonna work. Maybe we kind of fuck around with it. But I'm really busy with this other shit, and I have this other thing to do. So like, I hope you could figure this out. And he always would, and he would find ways to make it worth doing that bit that he wanted to do. Because going into it, I was thinking like, man, I don't know if that's funny. I don't want to put out something that I watch back and ask myself, is this even funny? Are people going to laugh at this? And Nick always found a way to kind of think of something clever and think of a unique hook to always at the end sort of, nail the landing with the bit, whether it's the "you have 3 cars, Kevin," or really any moment in the shorts, there was always a thing that we had to bring it back to. The Diet Coke bit was always giving me a soda to drink was always something we loved going back to, because it's so stupid. But yeah, Nick's incredible. I love Nick.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
for the record to everybody out there watching, this is the only time we're gonna be nice to Nick. That's kind of not our thing. We're supposed to. So,
Our entire channel is founded on riffing on Nick. So.
that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So I have something I've always been curious about because it's something. I mean, there's a lot of similarities we share going backwards as far as like life path, I guess you could say. So I want to go back to your time in a band. I want to know more about like that Andy Cortez. Where did that
About Bandy.
Bandy. Like where did that come from? When did you start falling in love with music and wanting to start a band and stuff like that?
I had always been interested in music because my dad grew up listening to Rush, and he got me hooked on Rush, and I always wanted to be a drummer, and I would watch these VHS tapes of Rush all the time, and my dad would always have him on with his awesome like sound system, and I wanted to be like Neil Peart. I wanted to set up the drum set around me. I would get pots and pans and cereal boxes and set them around me and sit on the floor and pretend I had this rotating drum set. I always just wanted to be, I always wanted to be a drummer because of Neil Peart. And then I joined percussion, but they never wanted to buy me a drum set just because of how loud it was in the room. We just didn't have room for a drum set. And so I joined middle school band and I was in percussion, and I realized I had a kind of a natural talent for it. And I was like, the way it works is, in 7th and 8th grade, the 6th graders have their own sort of like band in high school or middle school band. And then in 7th and 8th grade, you can make concert band, which is the lower ranking one, and symphonic band, which is a higher ranking one. And in 7th grade, I was put in the higher ranking one, and I was immediately put at like the forefront of the drumming group. And I was like, dang, I had kind of a natural talent at this. I like music and I like doing this. And but again, the drum thing never really happened. The getting a drum set just was never going to happen. And I eventually realized that nobody really plays bass. And this was around the time that my cousins had introduced me to Blink-182. And it was their first like official album. I know their first album is like Buddha, but their first official album is Cheshire Cat, and it was Cheshire Cat, whatever, however you pronounce it. And so that's the first one that I really got hooked on and realized that, oh, like this is totally changing my trajectory. I was in middle school listening to all sorts of music. I had a hip hop rap phase. I had a metal phase. Not really different phases though. They were all just kind of at the same time. Like I listened to a bunch of random shit. I would have on a burned CD like Slipknot and Godsmack and Jay-Z and just like random weird shit that had made no sense. But listening to Blink-182 really just changed me to, oh, I like this type of music, and I like the lyrics seem relatable because it's about being a teenager and angst and all that dumb shit. And I eventually just changed everything, and I was just like, oh, I listen to punk now. I listen to punk and emo now. Mm-hmm. And my brother had a guitar that he never played. My parents bought him a guitar probably when I was maybe 8 years old or so, and he had this guitar lying around that he never used. And it was then that I decided to pick it up, and my friend had introduced me to a program called Tabit. And I would use this program. Yes. We would use this program to go online and find tablatures of different bands, and it's all user-made tabs or whatever. And it was there that I learned how to play Damn It by Blink-182, and I learned a bunch of other stuff. And I just kind of picked up the guitar really quickly. And I'd asked my dad to buy me the full version of Tabit because it was like, I think a one-time fee of $20-something. And he and my mom were like, I mean, well, shit, he seems to really like this. We might as well just get this thing for him, And so they ended up buying me that, and that's how I started like learning how to write music. And I would download tabs from other bands and kind of copy their methods without really knowing what I was doing. But I knew that, oh, this is how guitars harmonize. Got it. That's this is like, I would download Mega Man tabs and understand, oh, this is like this soundtrack to Mega Man X. And I've always wondered why the music sounds that way. And now seeing it visually, it makes sense to me. And this is how guitar harmonies work, not only in Mega Man, but kind of all across music and metal. And then so I just kind of started copying those techniques without really knowing what the techniques were. I was just understanding like, this sounds cool as shit. If I put this note and this note here, that sounds awesome when they're played together. And would also download other bands' tabs and look at how they wrote songs, and then sort of copy those techniques as well. I didn't know what key changes were, because for the whole time it was just 4-chord structures in punk rock. Dun, 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 dun. And then I realized, oh, on the chorus, you don't have to, after that ends, you can then go back to the minor note, and that changes the whole vibe of the song. So I started just learning those things there. And then in middle school, I guess freshman year, I had started a band with some friends of mine, and nobody else played bass. So I was like, I play guitar pretty well, but I'll play bass because nobody has a bass. And I also loved Mark Hoppus, and I wanted to be Mark Hoppus from Blink-182. So I started a band there. We were called A So-Called Hero, of course. Like, why wouldn't we be called A So-Called Hero? And we performed at the talent show in freshman year of high school with a song that I had written, and we did really well. And the band wasn't really, like, we didn't really have good equipment. We kind of still sounded like shit quality wise. And then my friend's band, one of my closest friends, was in a band with his older brother and his older friends, and they were like 2-3 years older than us, but they had the good equipment. They had the Marshall amps and the Fender guitars, and we had like just shitty little combo amps, and they had the cool shit. And so they had eventually, my band just sort of started like dissolving. Nothing really happened. We didn't really try to do anything else. And then they had asked me to join their band and play bass. And I was like, dude, this is a fucking dream come true. I thought it was like the coolest dude ever. And I got to play bass, and we played a bunch of shows around the valley, and that band was called, I still, to this day, I don't even know what the right way to pronounce it was, but we would call ourselves Astrofix, and it was like spelled Astro and then Phix. I don't know why the band was called that, but everybody always pronounced it wrong. It was always Astrofix, and we're like, hey, we're Astrofix. Thanks for coming out to the show. And played with them for a while, played with that band. We played a bunch of local shows, kind of all around the Rio Grande Valley. So like, it's the Rio Grande Valley is a very horizontal section of the bottom of Texas. So we might travel, 45 minutes east to go play a show somewhere else in some place that we had never been. Maybe on a trip with our parents to go shop at the local malls over there. But there'd be a show happening, like, oh, we got an offer to go play a show over here. And like, we never really got paid. We were always shocked if we got paid, and it might be $50, and we would use that money to buy pizza and then just go play Halo for the rest of the night. But that was like, I think those were my fondest memories. Was going to some random other place and meeting new people and getting to like share our music and see people vibe with it. And after the show, you hang out and you like, I didn't drink beer because I was too scared. But we would hang out with random people at house parties and shit, and just, meet random people around the valley and hear their stories about their scene, because we had our kind of scene, which is a group of like maybe 10 to 15 bands, but there were scenes elsewhere. I was like, oh shit, there's a lot of other bands. Oh wow, this band's fucking talented. I didn't know that this area really had that level of talent. So it was really neat meeting people like that, and then making friends, and then telling them, hey, are you playing this show over here? Oh, fuck yeah, I'll see you there, So that journey was always neat. And then eventually I wanted to make a band with some other friends of mine, and eventually left that band to make Ambelina, which is the one that you always hear Nick talk about, Polygonal. That was the more recent band, the last band that I was in. and that's the band that we essentially took a lot more serious with writing and promotion and doing more tours that were just on the Rio Grande Valley area. Like we were traveling like to other places in Texas, and we got flown to New York or to New Jersey to record an album. And that was the one that I was like, oh, this is the one. I am not going to go to college for this band. And eventually that fizzled out as well because we just, I don't know. I think we just kind of grew past it, and we had some differences with some other members. And then I moved to Austin, and then just kind of like started my new life. That was like the end chapter of that. Moved to Austin, but long story short, Gage, I just I ramble. I'm sorry.
Before you move on from Ambelina, Andy, I have a question that I promised the one and only at Ambelina Erica on Twitter
awesome.
to ask. Yeah, she would like to know why the band name ended up being Ambelina.
Well, I was like the biggest of the Coheed fans, and the rest of the members in the band were just kind of, they were into them too, like via proxy. You know, like they weren't listening to them on repeat like I was, but they certainly fucked with them, you know. And I would geek out and tell them about the lore and tell them about the story. So it is Ambelina, who is a character in the Coheed saga, and we just thought that name sounded cool, and it was different. And there was also a band called Anberlin, which I remember posting our songs on absolutepunk.net, which was like the place that you would go to find, new bands or see reviews, see what people thought about the new album dropping from Thrice or whatever. And I remember posting and some people being like, damn, I thought this was Amberlin. I was like, oh, fuck. But yes, it is definitely it's definitely the Coheed reference. We didn't really make music like Coheed, so we kind of gave some people some false hopes when we went to go play certain shows. Because there would definitely be some people in crowd thinking that we were going to play Coheed. But it was cool talking to those people and making friends with them on MySpace and messaging them and saying, like, trying to make the messages not automated. Felt like the only one that ever wanted to handle the MySpace. So I was the one adding people in certain areas and like, oh, we're playing a show in Austin soon. We're playing a show in San Antonio. And I would look at that area and add friends. I don't really know how I filtered them or whatever, but I might, I would see that they were in that area. Maybe they had posted that they were going to be on the show, and I would add a bunch of friends and say, hey, we're dropping by. I hope to see you at the show or whatever. And that it was just a different. I can't believe any of that ever happened. Like, it just seems like a lifetime ago that was a thing, using MySpace to communicate with people and try to get them to go to your shows and try to get them to like you and try to talk to them on a personal level and not just feel like some flyer, some promo thing, some automated robot message that gets sent out to everybody. It's so weird that it just feels like a different lifetime ago that any of that ever happened. And I can't imagine doing that now at all.
It wouldn't be as hard now. You have YouTube videos that teach you how to play guitar. How do you feel about that? Like, how much easier it is now to learn guitar by yourself?
I mean, it's awesome. I think I get asked so many questions about how did you learn to play guitar? How did you learn to do Photoshop? And it's like, dude, just YouTube. Like, just YouTube is the place to absolutely be. I mean, sure, you could get a better experience, I think, if you were to use a paid service, a more personalized service where somebody is talking to you and you're having a one-on-one and that person knows your strengths and your weaknesses and how to challenge them. But YouTube is just so freaking helpful. I'm totally for that. I love things being more accessible. I am not the person to be like, I had to pay off my student loan, so you have to too. Like, I'm not that dude at all. I think it's great that there are so many new ways to learn how to do things that were definitely harder to do back then, but I'm not blaming the ease of it on on them, you know. Go for it. Go learn that thing you want to do. It's so much easier nowadays.
Very true. Very true. Ben, let's kick it over to you. That way you can at least ask one question in case, you have to run away.
Tsunami time.
Okay. Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. Hey, so I ask someone a question whenever they come on the show, Andy, or I guess Mr. Rifle. The one question that I always ask is just in relation to Greg Miller. So obviously, Greg is everywhere at all times. So I have no idea how he does it. We've had numerous people on the show with different theories as to how he can do this. I want to know what you think. How is Greg able to be everywhere at once?
I don't know. I really don't. And I think it might be a product of my, like, whatever's going on in my brain chemically. Because there's so many times that I don't want to do something and I'm not feeling it, but I'll have to turn it on to try to feel it. And even then I still might be sitting there just, again, I don't know if it's depression or whatever, but definitely there's an anxiety that leads to all of this and kind of surrounds all of it. And I just have such a respect for Greg always having the ability to be on and having the energy. And even when he doesn't, he still does. And even when he's not really feeling something, he still finds a way to lead the show because he's essentially the captain and he understands that he kind of has to, you know. I don't understand how he does it, really. And I am 5 years younger than him, and he has 5 times the energy that I do. It's truly wild. And we've definitely gotten a lot better about doing the limiting of shows. There are times where he has a commitment early in the morning, and then he might do games cast after or games daily afterwards. And then maybe he has to be on stream after that, and we'll tell him, hey, you know what? Don't be on the podcast today. Like, just don't. We're not gonna let you. And he'll be like, it's fine. No, don't. We're not gonna allow you to be on the podcast, or we're not gonna allow you to do this. We have a sort of a rule of you have a max shows of 3 that you can be on a day. And we'd rather you not hit 3. We'd rather you not do that, but like you definitely can't do 4, you know. So I don't know, Ben. I wish I could tell you. I have just such a respect for the passion that goes into everything he does. Not to say that I'm not passionate, but I just think that there's something chemically happening up in my brain that just prevents me from feeling that way all 24/7. Some days I wake up and I'm feeling incredible, and some days it's just like, can we just fast forward to nighttime? Like, I don't want to do any of this today. And I envy the hell out of Greg's ability to do that, because there's so many times that we do interview somebody and you can feel those moments where the interviewee stops talking and we all wait and Greg picks it right back up with something else because he's so fucking good at what he does. I think he and Bernie Burns are kind of the 2 people that I admire the most when it comes to being able to talk about anything and everything and just always having to pick up whenever there's a millisecond of silence. I think it's just so damn good of them.
Yeah, it's so impressive, though. Great answer. And we also have a community question here from Gino. It's a 2-parter. The first question, what brand is that blanket on your bed and where are your pillows?
My pillows are usually on top. Right now they're not. But they're usually just sitting on top of my sheets. But they're the same color as the sheets, so they probably just blended. And the brand of blanket, I don't know what it is, actually. My mom bought it for me. It's a weighted blanket. My mom, I had finally kind of told her about my anxiety issues, and she immediately kind of got worried. And it was interesting kind of telling her and my dad about this, because it kind of explained a lot of reasons why I was the way I was when I was a kid. And it kind of made them think, like, you know, we always wondered why you were moody in the morning and why you were like this, because, you know, otherwise I think I'm a pretty easy person to get along with, but there were so many times I'd get up in the morning and just not want to talk to anybody. And my dad would try to start a conversation. I would just like shut him down. And I feel awful for it now, but I know that it's kind of just out of my control. And my mom, kind of understanding and realizing all this, had just heard about how weighted blankets can help with some of that and just kind of make you feel warm and comforted, you know. And so she sent me this 20-pound weighted blanket, which at the time I thought, I feel like I'm going to lose circulation in my legs, but now I want like 6 of them. I love them. They feel great. And I'm dreading summer because I'm not going to be able to use it and it's going to get hot in my room. And I am not looking forward to that. But this winter's been fantastic with that weighted blanket. I'm sure I feel like they're all the same. I don't really think it matters which ones you buy. Maybe the surface of it might be better quality in some cases, you know, like the sort of velvety feel. But yeah, it's a weighted blanket, and I recommend them to anybody who wants to kind of feel. Apparently, they help you sleep better as well, and I think they've been helping me sleep better too.
That's awesome. I have to try one then. That's great. And the second part of the question, if you could play the game to flip a coin, heads you get $500 million, tails you die instantly. Do you play?
Yeah,
It's a tough one.
yeah, I do. 'Cause like, well, no, if I die, it'll make everybody real sad, right?
It'd be tough,
Yeah.
man. That would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking like I was thinking more in selfish terms, right? If I die, it's like, well, if I die instantly, it's like I don't feel anything. I'm just gone, right? It's not like I'm gonna get stabbed. If I were to get stabbed to death and die a death that takes like 6 hours for me to finally die, that would really, really be shitty, and I wouldn't be willing to risk that. But if I just like instantly snap and I'm like no longer here, I think it's worth the $500 million and helping to get everybody in my family, you know, the help they need. And $500 million, what, that's like a quarter of my student loans, right? Something like that. So sounds good to me. I'm in.
For me, it's probably where I'm at in life. You know, if I'm like 80 years old, you know, well, we're good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there was always an interesting question that gets brought up on the Levitard show that I talk about nonstop. The show, not the question, but the question is, oh gosh, what was it? If I could tell you that it's something like, if you knew you were gonna die when you hit 75, do you take that guarantee, or do you continue to live now? And it may not have been 75, it may have been something more like 85. I think it's all pretty arbitrary anyway, but like at 85, I guarantee you will die at 85. Do you take that, or do you, maybe because you want to live an extra 10 years to be 95 or, you know, 100 or whatever, or do you continue living knowing that, oh shit, I can get hit by a car tomorrow? Which I've always thought is pretty interesting. Like, would I take that? And I think whoever the guest you get on next, ask them that question for me.
That's a good
Ask
one.
them that question.
Yeah.
We'll set the age at 80, because I
Yeah.
feel like 80 is high enough, but you could definitely live an extra 20 years and be with family
Live it
for
up
an extra
real
20
hard,
years.
You know.
But what if, again, you know, 3 planes crash on your body, like just right here, right now? What if 3 planes just all converge on me and I'm dead?
Tsunami. You know.
Yeah, 3 tsunamis.
Shit,
in
what's
an
that
airplane.
noise, guys? Shit, it's coming.
Yeah. Could have lived till I was 80. Damn it, I should have taken
Yeah.
that, you know?
Great questions, Gino. That's great.
I've got a question from our very own Matt Ferguson, and he asks, Andy, how does it feel to be a constant inspiration for creative people of all kinds?
Oh, wow. It certainly makes me happy that I'm able to kind of show that, you know, a lot of people can do this sort of thing, right? I love that anybody maybe who isn't super confident with wanting to learn an online program has recently, I've been getting so many DMs since I put out that thread about looking up and trying to get freer and more affordable ways to use creative online programs. And I've gotten so many DMs saying like, you know what, I'm taking the plunge. Thank you for this. Like, this is kind of the kick in the ass that I needed. I didn't really intend to try to inspire anybody with the things that I do at Kind of Funny. I think it's just I've always wanted Kind of Funny to be more than just podcasting. I've always wanted us to show other ways that we can be creative and kind of show newer audiences like, oh shit, I didn't know they did this too. This is kind of neat. And I think it was ultimately kind of the downfall of of like shows like KFAF that I think we went a little too hard in on, and eventually showed like if we keep like we're gonna have to keep going at this rate and we won't be able to do a whole lot else, you know. But yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's a hard question to answer, Matt Ferguson, and I appreciate that compliment. I think Matt Ferguson, along with a lot of other artists in the community, have really just like they were able to showcase what they can do with KFAF, and I think that's fucking awesome. And because I feel like when I joined Kind of Funny and when I was trying to join Kind of Funny, I didn't see a whole lot of that happening in the community, and I always want the community to show that yes, you can be creative, you can make silly clip outs, you can make silly breakouts of videos, you can make funny fan art, you could just do crazy funny Photoshop things. And I'm glad that KFAF, I think, was able to sort of start that trend in a more consistent way, as opposed to, you know, every once in a while on, I don't know, a morning show, there might be like a silly Photoshop that gets made, or on a Game or Greggy show. But I feel like we're sort of starting that culture, that creative culture, and showing the community that with us retweeting all these other artists, hey, this could be you too. And this could possibly lead to other opportunities in the future. So I'm really happy that KFAF was able to do that. And I mean, shit, that Marvel intro just legitimately blew my mind and brought a tear to my eye, because it was our Avengers.
Yep.
It was our Avengers moment of all the community coming together and make this incredible video. And I know like Cameron Ken, and I don't want to take anything away from Cameron Ken and Carter Harrell, because I know they worked on the majority of it, but it was still really awesome seeing all the other artworks pop up. Yeah, that's certainly awesome, and I hope we can continue that in other forms in the future, and show people that, you know, just because you don't know Photoshop and you're worried to learn it doesn't mean you can't learn it, you know.
So that actually means a lot to me. Oh, so yeah, I'll be just a second. I was someone that had kind of stopped thinking of myself as a creative person. Like I was just like going to my 9 to 5, and then I started watching KFAF, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna submit. My boss is also a Kind of Funny fan. He's actually Stephen M. Souza, who I'm sure you've seen in some of the Photoshop challenges.
Sousa?
It's StevenMsousa.
Okay, yeah, I've definitely seen that name. Very cool, very cool.
And he was like, you know what, you should.
I always pronounce
enter.
it Sousa. I always pronounce it
Yeah,
Sousa. Yeah,
you do.
I'm remembering now.
And he was like, you know, you should submit to this. I think you could do it. And I was like, I don't know, man. And so I watched like some of the KFAF episodes, and I started to have a really good time. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna submit to the show. And that started me down where I'm at now, which was, you know, meeting all of these wonderful people, working on a commission for Al the Predator Tribesman that ended up getting featured as like a platinum tier Kind of Funny reward. And you know, I just had the quest log that was on, you know, the Kind of Funny stream the other day that Snowbike Mike wanted, you know, for the stream, for all the rewards for your guys' stream stuff. And it's like,
I was wondering
none
who
of
made that.
that.
I was like, no way Mike made that.
So, you know, it's like I went from not thinking of myself as a creative person anymore to like growing exponentially as a creative person, and it's all really thanks to you guys and KFAF and creating that opening for a creative outlet. Where once
That's
a week I
awesome.
could work on something and hone my skills, and I wouldn't have met anybody that we're talking to right now. All of the Simply Sassy crew, we would not have gotten together without KFAF. You guys literally inspired all of this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, like there's, I didn't that was never like the intention. I know that I always knew that we had people in the community that could do these things and could, you know, band together and make cool shit. I feel like we didn't intend for KFAF to sort of be that starting point, but that's insanely cool that it did sort of turn out that way. And I think you all are inspiring other people to do that too, in the community. And you know, whether they're new listeners or whatever, I think we would love to eventually have more Photoshop challenges that aren't KFAF related, but just like kind of funny related, whether we're talking about on a podcast or whether we're talking about some in review moment. I think that's something that I would like to bring back in some form or fashion, because it shows other people in the community like, oh, I can do that too. I messed with Photoshop when I was in college. Yeah, I could also do this and kind of get my name out there and then get commissioned to do other stuff by other people that are kind of funny adjacent, you know, people that don't even necessarily listen to or watch us, but see the Photoshops pop up and go, oh, that's really good. Shit, I've been wanting something like that. Like I'm commissioning Cameron Ken to make an outro for my YouTube channel. Just a super quick little stinger or whatever, but it's like, I would have never known that, you know, I would have known who to got to if it weren't Cameron Ken making all of our intros and outros, you know, which is, I think, really, really damn cool.
Yeah, I mean,
just to
like,
go off what Phil said about the KFF thing, like with me especially, I've never liked anything that I make or create or whatever. Having KFAF and having you guys, you know, every week see something I've done and be like, oh, that's really good, you know, you could do something better here, or, you know, fix this thing next time. And then especially with, there was some, one of the podcasts, I think, where you guys were talking about a movie about you running off to Funhouse and all that stuff. And I made that Photoshop, and then like you DM'd me about it. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I'm going to tag all these people and like,
Yeah,
James
Rahul was
Beast or
playing
whatever.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like,
that
was
was
really awesome. Just having so,
it was such a
yeah, it
good
was
job.
really awesome having, yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, and it was just really awesome having you specifically be like, you know, this is really awesome, and you know, you retweeting it and commenting on it and whatever. Yeah, stuff like that. I think, like Phil said, it really helps out people who may not think they're so good or their stuff is that great.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all about that positive reinforcement. I would love for this to sort of be an awakening in a lot of other creatives or people that don't even know that they're creative and didn't necessarily want to pursue that, and maybe had interest in art classes, but then ended up moving on to some other profession that's probably going to make them more money, but less happy, you know? I don't know. I think it's really, really neat. And I hope to see more of it in our universe as we keep on building this silly ass thing that, I always love the thing that Greg says whenever people ask him, so are you like really famous? And he says, I'm a big deal to a small amount of people. And I think that like, that's so cool that we are creating this thing that I think, again, we're all making this thing together. And, I absolutely just have been really digging the community involvement with all of it.
So, speaking of that MCU intro, we have a question from Jessie, who actually did one of the artworks featuring that. She wants to know what keeps you inspired and makes you want to keep making awesome content on kind of funny and streaming and all that.
Part of it is paranoia. Part of it is anxiety, saying if you don't post something soon, people are gonna forget you. And part of it is a reminder that I don't know. There's part of it that is what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but just trying to show people that, hey, I can still do this thing too. And I don't know if it's for my own ego or, you know, maybe I haven't done a musical bit in a while. And I think I don't ever want to do the same thing too much. I would like to space out whether it's a silly breakout or whether it's a piece of art or whether it's a little musical bit that I work on. I always want to space them out, and just show people that I still care about all of those other avenues of creativity. And I think whenever we have a bit in mind, it's certainly become a lot tougher to make those bits because of our schedule. We started with we did those prank calls over the break that I absolutely love doing, and I would love to do more. And it's just so hard to find a freaking block of time to do it in. Just with when I'm streaming, Greg's doing this, and then when Greg gets off of this, I want to do that. And there, we have this bit that we've been wanting to do where me and Nick are Greg's bank. Greg calls his bank because he's noticed some purchases been made that weren't him, so he's calling in for fraud department, and we are at the bank, and it ends up being, like, yeah, there's a lot of money here, like, that I don't notice is happening, and we've been wanting to record this bit for a while, but it's just finding the time for it. I don't know. I think a lot of it is. Scratching that itch that I haven't done a musical thing in a while. What can I do here? I haven't done a silly breakout in a while. What could I find in my last stream to do some, creative thing with? And then when it comes to art is definitely the one that gets kind of pushed aside the most because it is a bit more involved and it does take away time from streaming. A lot of people have asked me, when are you going to do another 30-second review? And it's usually like when I have something to say that I think is worth saying and funny. And I don't ever want to retread old bits. And I don't want to, unless it's like KFAF style retreading the bit because it's funny that you're retreading the bit. But I feel like a lot of that humor, I don't know if is necessarily funny anymore in those 30-second reviews. And it's always like, the 30-second reviews always have to revolve around, it's going to be a bunch of dumb jokes, and what's the central bit? What's the thing that makes that 30-second review stand out from the last one? Whether it's a visual gag or whether it's the kid from Final Fantasy jump scaring and popping up behind me. There's always something that has to make those things special. And I just haven't really been able to think of that yet. And I haven't had a reason to want to make that. And I'm sure I could make a 30-second review every week about a game and think of stupid puns, and like that'll just get old to me. And I'm sure people will dig it, but I'll feel like this bit's kind of run its course and I'm not really getting any satisfaction out of it anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it is just trying to grease those wheels that haven't been used in a while. And I haven't done a 30-second review in a while. How can I make this funny or whatever? Yeah, that's a really terrible answer. Sorry. I'm just getting lost in my own thoughts right now.
I can confirm that they are still very funny, Andy. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I watched the one the other day. Was it your Coming to Kind of Funny, where you're talking about, I'm really excited to work for Colin. He's such a great guy. It's so good, man.
Yeah, that was like so last minute. I had already my room was all packed up by that point already. God, that was such a long time ago. That was such a freaking long time ago.
Yeah. So is that feeling of paranoia that you always have to post something? Is that the reason why you want to get into streaming on Twitch?
No, well, the streaming thing started off to help out my family. I'd always wanted to stream anyway and make money for myself on the side, and not like, I legitimately thought about having to drive for Uber, just to kind of live more comfortably. Not that I'm not trying to like down talk Uber drivers, but like I have a decently good paying job, right? But I still wanted to live comfortably because of how insanely high my student loan bills are. And I wanted to start streaming at some point, and then my dad had lost his job and asked if I could start sooner and get that ball rolling. And yeah, with streaming, I think is another kind of creative outlet where, like, the silly, cut out mouth faces that I do and all those bits, I try not to overdo those either, because I do want them to be funny when I do cut to them and not have to always feel like I'm reaching for new content or whatever. But I think the streams are an easy kind of impromptu way to think of creative things to do, and that's a bit harder to do with Kind of Funny when Kevin's running the show. When I'm running the show here at home, I don't really have another voice in my head like having like rushing me, or I like when I'm at home I could just do it all on the fly, and I could just do it on stream, and I can open up Photoshop and make a stupid cutout and immediately upload it and kind of make that my own. And yeah, streaming is definitely for me. Like I see it as a part-time job. I want to stream a couple days a week. I hope to make money for it, right? I should probably be better about, saying, "Hey, I'm here to entertain, and hopefully you all pay me." But I usually just get on and I'm like, "We'll see." Well, I hope people, throw a couple bits my way and say thanks for the entertainment. I should probably be better about that, but I also understand that I'm in the fortunate position of having a full-time job, and this is something I do on the side. Yeah, I don't know. Twitch is just a blast. It's a fun way to kind of show my own personality and have people drop by that aren't even necessarily Kind of Funny fans, that just know me from Funhouse or know me from an Achievement Hunter video or saw me on some random clip on Instagram or Twitter and decided to check out the stream. I think it's a cool way to sort of branch out, and it's always so interesting whenever I see people ask me in chat, "So what exactly is Kind of Funny?" It's like, "Oh shit, you don't even you're here just because you saw something random. That's really awesome."
Yeah.
And I think it's just a neat way to kind of introduce them into this weird ecosystem of Greg taking his shirt off and Nick referencing Starbucks every 40 minutes. I think it's a neat way to kind of bring them in and assimilate them.
That's always something interesting with Greg Miller. Like someone that knows him from IGN but doesn't know that Kind of Funny exists. So they're like, "Wait, you're talking about that guy from IGN? Where'd that wait? So he left IGN and did something called Kind of Funny?" And it's like, yeah, for the last like 7 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while, and you got to assume those are the people that watched a BioShock Infinite review or
Right.
whatever, like
exactly
back in the early 2000s or 2010, 2011 era.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's really interesting whenever that does happen, because there's a lot of people out there that experience that don't necessarily know Greg from Kind of Funny, but know him from that One Up at Noon episode or E3, hosting an E3 panel or whatever. Yeah, it's always cool kind of getting those people to come back and realize, like, yeah, we're still out here, we're still doing this thing, and we are growing at the slowest rate possible, but we're still growing.
So that kind of makes me think of Greg Kasavin from Supergiant. He used to be a GameSpot editor back in the day, and that's kind of how like I was introduced to kind of the internet and video and games and stuff like that, being more than just something that you play on your TV. Originally, what inspired you to want to make games? I mean, because that was something you went from, wanting to be in a band to going to school. Was that for video games, and then you were just hoping to make a career out of it, or did you have something else in mind when you started school?
I wanted to be a 2D animator. I knew that I had a knack for art, and I'd had a talent for drawing my whole life. I was drawing my whole since I could remember. I had a sketch pad, and I was always drawing, and I have these weird, again, I can't remember what happened yesterday, but I have these weird memories that pop up from elementary school where my teacher's telling my parents, like, yeah, he's really good at this. And I was always kind of creating my own things. I remember Mega Man X inspired me to make my own little like robot character and make a video game around him, even though I wasn't making a game, but here's this character that I've created, and I drew the bad guy, and I drew the sidekicks, and I drew kind of what the world map would be. And then Legend of Zelda, playing Ocarina of Time, and creating my own sort of medieval, mystical kind of magic world, and making the world map look like Hyrule, but not like Hyrule, and just trying to kind of make my own version of it. I was always drawing, and it was music that kind of took me away from drawing. And eventually I went right back to it, and I wanted to be a 2D animator. I had loved watching, Family Guy and American Dad and, I guess Bob's Burgers. I don't know if it was exactly at that time, but the sort of adult humor with animation, I always felt I was always me and my whole group of friends, I would always say that we're funny, but I don't know if other people would think they're funny, but people always seem to sort of think that, hey, Andy's a funny guy, so is his friend, so is his other friend. And so we always kind of wanted to, well, at least I always wanted to bring that comedy into animation. And I was making flip books as kids, and then I went to art school, and I wanted to be a 2D. I wanted to be Seth MacFarlane. I wanted to make my own characters and voice a couple of them and have my own humor and moments that happened to me growing up that I would think, God, this would be so fucking funny to put on a cartoon. This would be hilarious to animate this and tell this story that of all the crazy shit that's happened to me in my life. The funny people that I've met, weird people from school. Is like, a weird dude. I just would love to put that person on screen. And then it was really taking a couple 3D classes that pulled me away from that because I always loved video games anyway. Like video games were a constant, for the most part. And it was a couple 3D classes that showed me, God, this is really, really cool. And I would love to work in video games as well. And I know it's hard to become a 2D animator and you don't just get your own studio, like that shit's just so difficult. I don't even know what the process of that would be. And falling in love with 3D art was really what did it. And learning ZBrush and learning how to make characters and that paired along with my teachers really, seeing that I had what it took and encouraging me and, we'd have our reviews at the end of the year and my portfolio, you'd show off your portfolio and all the teachers there who were either, oops, did I turn my mic off? No, never mind.
No, you're good.
All my teachers who were either working in the industry or had worked in the industry, looking at myself and being like, yeah, you could be in the industry right now. Like this is all really impressive stuff. All that stuff really encouraged me to push for that. And as soon as I graduated, my teacher was the one who got me my first job. He essentially said, I'm going to recommend you to take my spot at the studio I'm at right now because I'm going to go work on. He ended up going to work for Certain Affinity, who does at the time they were doing like Halo multiplayer maps and working on Call of Duty content for the like Modern Warfare remaster and things like that. And yeah, it was essentially that encouragement where I remember I hadn't graduated yet, but my 3D teacher had messaged me on Facebook and was like, hey, when do you graduate? I was like, in about like 6 months. He was like, oh, okay, shit. When you graduate, let's get a beer because I can't hang out with you like right now. Because he was like a younger teacher. He was like, I would love to like sit down with you and like kind of, have you sit down with other people in the industry and just, get to know people because I think you're going to be able to make it. I think you have what it took or have what it takes. And yeah, making that 3D portfolio and busting my ass. I think right now it's a lot tougher to say that you have to bust your ass and be exhausted to get what you want. I know we are moving further and further away from the grind culture, from crunch culture. But fuck me if I wasn't grinding and crunching every day. Like I had to. I worked full time at Best Buy. That was 40 hours of my week. I was going to classes at night. And the only time that I could work on personal projects was from midnight to 4 a.m. or on weekends. Like I was doing that shit. And that was the stuff. Those are the portfolio pieces that ended up going in my portfolio that really gave me the edge over other candidates wanting jobs in the industry. So I'm like fully against crunch, but I'm like, well, shit, I did it. Fuck. Like I can't talk shit because I was grinding. I had to do that stuff, you know. I guess, you know, crunch is different when you're in an actual workplace, but I think if you want to get what you want, if you see something that you want to get, you have to work extra hard in it. And I put in those hours for sure, and was luckily able to, you know, be in game development for 3 years, and it was super rewarding, and I met a lot of people, and I learned a lot of shit that has helped me out in my career now. You know, being able to talk about games from a different perspective, and being able to talk about engines and lighting and volumetric fog. I think all that stuff helps out for sure.
Parallax scrolling.
Yeah, parallax scrolling, absolutely.
Ambient occlusion, my favorite one.
Screen space, you know, yeah.
I really want to say real quick shout out to Corey Cudney, working over at Certain Affinity. You said that, so I figured I needed to give him a shout out.
Absolutely. What an MVP Corey is, yeah.
100%. Al, did you have any other questions you wanted to bring up to Andy?
I just wanted Nirvana, the band, the show. Thank you for introducing me to my favorite new show on television, Andy. And also you brought up Bob's Burgers. I don't know if I know you're familiar with Nathan For You, but I don't know if you've ever seen John Benjamin Has a Van.
I have not, no.
That's where I first saw Nathan Fielder. He played John Benjamin's cameraman on that show. It's hilarious. You should definitely check it out.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm glad you've seen the light. I'm glad I was able to. I'm glad some people fucking listen.
Absolutely. It took a while. The name didn't make me want to watch it. Like I was like, what is this? But then, yeah.
I'm glad that I was
thankful for that.
I was able to get Tim to watch the first episode, and he never went back to it. But he really laughed a lot during the first episode. So I need to just put on a damn mask, go to his place, and say, "Here, watch this," because he always makes me watch shit. I need to make him watch shit too.
So I know you're talking about like putting on a mask, because COVID, but for some reason I thought you were gonna kidnap Tim and just put on a ski mask and fucking watch this.
Gun, yeah, put a gun to his head. Yeah, I'm glad you dug it. I think it is a show that I've said several times, I am so jealous that I didn't make that show, and like. How would I have possibly? That's like giving myself way too much credit. But it's a show that I would have loved to have been involved in. I think it's one of easily the most creative shows I've ever seen. I think it's a show for creatives. I think that show, it's not just, again, it's not just a random sitcom with, it's not a Brooklyn Nine-Nine or, you know, Friends or Seinfeld or something. It is a show that I think is not only funnier than those shows, but from a creativity standpoint, it's just, I mean, it is the giving tree. It has everything. When it comes to editing and taking bits from other shows and making those bits make sense in the world of the story, I think it's just so many times. Like when I got to the season finale of season 1 the first time, I had tears in my eyes from happiness because it's like, this is fucking so good. And it's a shame that a lot of people are not going to ever watch this. Like, it just kind of broke my heart of how small the show is and how it'll eventually just not be made anymore. I think a lot of that is due to American like copyright law, I think, is a reason why it hasn't really been put up on Netflix or anything like that, because of just, they were able to skirt the lines with copyright law and parody in Canada, but I don't know if they were able to get around that shit over here.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's scary even looking at the. Oh no, we all jumped in at the same time.
Dead silence and everybody talks at once. I love it.
I was just gonna say it's terrifying as a news streamer. Josh, you and I today, man, we're not on the wavelength.
Just that
You can raise your hand like we do.
Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, I've just got one small question. It's something you've mentioned before on Twitter. It's something your mom has told you. When are you going to get together with Selena Gomez?
Oh, great question. Great question, Josh. I don't even want to entertain that. I think it's like the funniest thing ever. I love my mom, and I love how she thinks that me with 40,000 Twitter followers it can't just has access to any celebrity. I think it's the funniest fucking thing. Like celebrities with gigantic statuses. I love that she thinks that I'm on that same level. So bless her heart. I love her so much.
What about
You
Elizabeth
got those
Olsen? Though?
connections.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Elizabeth Olsen. I mean, that at the end of WandaVision, I'm gonna just use your spells and kill me, please. I love you so much.
Dude, I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to piggyback off of something you brought up earlier, which is Best Buy. So that's another similarity there. I was just curious. Do you have any like interesting stories from when you worked at Best Buy, like interactions, customers, stuff like that? Because I was only there for like 2.5 years, but in that time, there were definitely moments that I don't think I'm ever gonna forget.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good and bad. There's a lot of like terrible customers. There's a lot of awesome customers. I worked at the South Austin one for 3 years, and then I moved to the Georgetown one for 3 years. And Georgetown is only 45 minutes north, but you'd think that you were going from San Francisco to Alabama. Like it was totally different cultures, totally different people, different clientele, different employees for sure. I remember an employee I worked with. For Halloween one year. This is at the Georgetown one. Very, very, very conservative city. And it was Halloween. I didn't really have anything to dress as, so I wore really, really, really short shorts. I put a fake mustache on. I wore a headband. Don't really know what I was going for. I just thought I looked cool and silly and stupid. And he said, "What are you dressed up as?" And then followed that up with a gay slur. And I was like, Jesus, is that how we're doing in here? What the fuck? Like, I didn't know. And I'd been working there for like maybe a month or two. I don't know. It's like, Jesus, this is was a mistake coming over here. But again, at that place, it was near a retirement community, and an old lady and her husband, they treated me like I was their grandson. I helped them out with their phones, and they loved it, and they would always come back to see me if they needed help, and they loved buying all the extra shit that I'd get brownie points for selling, and just because they just loved me as a salesperson or whatever. She would drop by to bring cookies. They were just like the nicest couple ever, and I fucking love them. At the South Austin store, it was kind of like the Wild West, because that was the cool store. That was really like, it was super multicultural. All the employees were super different. It was very diverse when it comes to what the employees look like, you know. And there was oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, that was the store that I usually had to speak to the Spanish customers, Spanish-speaking customers, even though I wasn't super good at Spanish, but I was just like, sure, I can do well enough, whatever. So that store was wild. I loved working at that Best Buy more, not only because of the clientele and the employees, but a couple of my best friends worked with me as well that I had known my whole life since back in the Rio Grande Valley, and we always hung out on the weekends. And so when they started working there, that was a lot of fun, just kind of working with my coworkers and talking shit and making fun of people, and having somebody to relate to with that RGV humor, you know, is always really huge. At the North Austin store. What I was going with the South Austin store, the clientele, whenever South by Southwest was happening, or whenever Austin City Limits was happening, there were always celebrities dropping by to buy stuff, and it was always cool whenever that happened. Sam Rockwell was in our store, and I was like, "Oh, fuck, Sam Rockwell, that's so cool." And college athletes from the UT Longhorns that then went on to play in the NFL were dropping by to to buy TVs or whatever. That shit was really, really cool. And then the North store, again, the store that I didn't really love very much just because of how it was. And when I got hired there, they made me cut my hair because I had like the long emo cut. They made me cut my hair. They told me I couldn't wear my skinny black pants. They told me I couldn't wear my Nike Dunks anymore. And that shit sucked. I was so annoyed by that. But I was getting paid a little bit more. So I was happy about that. I just think of like the Black Fridays. I think of having to work Black Fridays and what a nightmare though that was, and working for 14-hour shifts and not getting to be with my family was just the worst because my family would drive up to Austin to spend time with other family that I had in Austin for Thanksgiving and also to see me. And I would have to leave them like at 2 p.m. on Thanksgiving to go get ready to open the store at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. or whatever, because there's already people lining up outside to get whatever dumbass, Westinghouse TV or Dynex TV or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's lots of good and bad stories everywhere. I always think of this one woman who was mad about this product that said that we had advertised, but we had sold out of, and she was mad that we didn't have it. And she was like bitching me out, and she said, this was a waste of my time. And I was like, yeah, me too. Because just
Holy
dealing with
shit.
her was just a pain in the
No
ass.
joke. I literally had a customer say that exact same thing to me.
And I wish I didn't come back at her with that. I'm kind of glad I did. But yeah, her being like, this has been a waste of my time. And I was like, yeah, so it's been a waste of my time as well. And she was like, she made this like look like, are you kidding me? Or did you just tell that to me right now? And she left the store, and I was heated after dealing, like, it wasn't just that line. It was like her being an absolute asshole to me for a while. And me trying, but I was never mean to them back. I was never snappy back. I wanted to understand why they were mad. I'm so sorry about that. I understand. Trust me, we're working hard. I wanted them to be understanding, right? And she was just not that. And then she ended up walking, like, I guess she had walked around the mini mall, and she came back to be like, I was thinking about what you said. I couldn't believe you told that to me. Like, I'm not going to tell your manager, but I've been thinking about you telling me that for the last couple hours, and I still can't believe you told me that. And I was like, well, you were being really, really rude to me. So, like, I can only do so much. I can only just take all your bullshit because you didn't get this stupid fucking cable or whatever it was you're looking for. Like, sorry. I remember an old man walking in, very, very senile. Definitely, I wasn't even mad at him for being mean because I just feel like it just fits the stereotype of the cranky old man. And he walked in. Whenever customers walked in and asked questions that were not correct, I never wanted to be like, what are you talking about? No, that's not how it works. Like, you don't want to do that. And a man walked in saying, I'm trying to get this HDMI cable to do this thing. Like, where's the HDMI cable that does that? And I knew that it didn't have that capability, but I never wanted to be like, no, that's not how it works. I was just like, I don't think it works out that way. Come follow me. We can find what you need, And I know exactly what the dude needs. And I kept trying to explain what the tech was. And then he said, are you going to keep talking? Or are you going to show me where I need to go? And I was just like, right over there. Go over there, you old bitch. Like, get away from me. And so, like, there was sometimes a lot of asshole customers. In 2008, that was the ultimate era of the recession and dealing with resellers coming in, trying to get discounts and stuff that absolutely weren't discounted. And me being like, no, man, I mean, that's the price, that's my employee price. That's what I get. That's what I would have to pay if I wanted to buy this. Can you talk to a manager? And the manager comes over and just kind of makes you look like a little bitch. He's like, go ahead and take care of him, Andy. I was like, I already stood up to this guy. I told him no. And now you're just making me look like a little bitch because now I got to be like, yeah, okay. Yeah, he said so. Yeah, boss man said you could do this thing and you're getting what you want because it's a recession and we are bartering with people. This is a pawn shop right now, pretty much. Yeah, it was Best Buy was a wild time, but I think it helped me out learning how to be patient with customers. It definitely gave me a lot of appreciation for retail and going to restaurants and understanding that, hey man, it sucks that y'all are sold out of this item. I get it. Totally fine. I'll go ahead and I'll order something else at this restaurant, because the amount of times that people would walk in being like, it says you have this online. What? Like, fuck, our website. I'm so sorry. Like, our website is obviously not updated. So I think it gave me just an appreciation for people working in retail and understanding, like, dude, they don't want to be there. All right. I never wanted to be there. Please treat them with respect.
100%. Did you ever catch anybody stealing anything?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The
A lot.
tenacity of thieves is
That was-
amazing, dude.
I had this guy. This was like the funniest thing. We see this guy coming out of Car-Fi, so it's the car electronics department, walking towards the back. He's got a PlayStation under his arm. So we're like, oh, got a hoodie on. Is that one of the new inventory guys or what? And he just keeps going to the very back, and he presses the emergency exit, but there's like a 15-second timer. You have to hold it down. It sounds an alarm before it unlocks. He holds it down for about 5 seconds and sounds the alarm, turns around, and there's like 3 of us just standing there staring at him. And he just he walks forwards a bit, slowly puts the PlayStation down, and eyes down, just walks past all of us out of the store. I was like,
it's awkward and scary, and I don't know why I care so much about theft, because like it doesn't matter. They're not personally stealing from me, but I feel like they're violating my place.
yeah,
Like,
it's your
yeah, this is my
your
domain,
area.
and how dare you possibly do this? And I remember, like, you were always told you cannot touch them. You cannot put your hands on them. Again, this is like the insurance will take care of this. We have all this shit written into our budgets for the end of the year. Like, we have a loss sort of category that we are pre-budgeting for every year. That's what the corporation does. And even then, like, I remember watching this guy holding a laptop by the spider wrap, the little like security thing, and him getting to the front door, and everybody had created this wall, so like you can't touch him, but you can get in their way. And why do we care this much? What if this dude has a gun? But I fucking cared. And I remember an employee going for the laptop and like getting in a tussling match, and then it flying on the ground, and then me going to reach for it, and he reached for it too. And then luckily there was an off-duty cop outside who fucking arrested his ass. So it was awesome.
Just imagine like Endgame with the Infinity Gauntlet at the end. All the Best Buy employees running like,
Yeah.
I got it. Here, take it.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. So I don't know why I cared so much about people stealing. But I definitely, in hindsight, I'm like, I could have gotten injured. Why did I risk it? But I just feel like, man, they violated my place. Like in high school, how people will egg your house. And it never happened to me. And when it finally happened to me, I'm like, what do you have? Who egged my house? Who hates me? Why would you who has a problem with me in school? I don't have any rivals. Like everybody likes me, man. Like me and my friend group were like liked by everybody. Who the hell would have a problem with me? And then I think it ended up just being like some random group of girls that like didn't even hate us, but they were just fucking with us. But it still felt like, I feel bad. My parents probably think some sinister shit is happening. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
Phil,
I'm gonna fire off some just like super fast community questions really quick. Matt S. Batson says, "What's Tim Getty's phone number?" Mario Rivera says,
Good question.
"Tell him I love him." Also, what's Nick Scarpino's phone number? MC Fixer says, "What's Game Over Greggy's phone number?" And then Simply Sassy asks, "Hey,
That's a different show, Phil.
What's kind of funny Kevin's phone number?" So if you could just DM all of those people as soon as this episode's over, that'd be great.
Totally easy. Totally can do that.
Perfect.
Can do.
Perfect.
Awesome. We'll put it in the description on the YouTube channel.
Perfect.
And then one that you can actually answer on the show. Ben, please be excited, wants to know, who would win in a fight between 200 hobbits versus 150 dwarves?
That's a great question, Ben. Shit.
I'd go for the dwarves. I would go for the dwarves. I think yeah, I think, look, we got to understand that I feel like dwarves are kind of built for this. And like not everybody's Bilbo or Frodo.
That's
Or
50
even-
extra hobbits, so it's a lot of hobbits.
Yeah, but I mean,
but
one
then you gotta
dwarf
remember
hammer
that-
swing can take out 10. You know,
Are
don't
those
know.
50 Frodos or 50 Sams? You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's hope that's
The
Sam's, you
hobbits
know?
are usually high on parkweed or something.
True.
Yeah,
They don't feel
exactly,
pain.
yeah.
They don't feel pain anymore.
They're
so
stoned.
they just
Oh,
keep
see,
going.
I'm looking at
Yeah.
the aspect of more of like they don't know what the hell's going on. They're super stoned. I would
Pretty
definitely go
nimble
for the
and
dwarves.
quick.
Yeah.
I would go for the dwarves. Again, not everybody's Gimli, but I feel like dwarves are just more prepared for that sort of lifestyle, and hobbits are dancing and eating cheese and shit.
Much better facial hair, too, eh?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It depends on which.
A
Good question. Thanks,
comparison
Ben.
Would be like,
Yeah.
would it be 200 of The Rock or 150 Seth Rogen who would win? It's basically the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. One is built for this, and one is not. You know, for sure.
One's just in the corner just getting stoned out
Yeah.
of his mind.
And then, so, just because we have one more show we're hoping to have Andy on, we should probably spin this one up. Does anyone else have any other questions they want to ask before I come out with the final community question?
I have one. Might age horribly. Are we with wild aces, Andy?
Oh, say that one more time. Sorry, yeah, the
cut out.
internet cut off for me.
Yeah. Are the wild aces winning tonight?
Yes, the Wild Aces are winning. Final prediction for the score. It's so hard to tell because, like, when you're predicting NFL scores, it's all very predictable. There's going to be, you know, it's all by sevens, or there you can add a 3 in there every once in a while. But it's so hard to tell what the scores can be in the FCS. I just don't think we're there yet. So I'm just going to throw out a random number. I think it's going to be 32. Is that even possible? To 22. 32 to 22. Final score. Final answer.
Nice.
Perfect.
In the NFL, you could be like 24 to 7 or 27 to 10 or whatever, and like all that shit makes sense. But in the FCS, who freaking knows? Who knows?
Yeah. So did you have one final question, Phil?
Yeah, I just wanted to give everyone a moment to see if they had anything else to ask real quick before I went off with it. Are we all good?
I'm all good.
Nobody's
Go for
nobody's
it.
raising their hand. All right. So
Ben
Reese
might be,
Boy,
we just can't see it.
Reese Boy has one final question. He says, "Who are the content creators or streamers that you look up to?"
When it comes to creativity, Tim the Tapman is one of my favorite streamers to watch. And that's such an easy answer. Like that's like saying, "Oh, Michael Jordan's my favorite basketball player," or whatever. But I think he has a really good team around him. And I mean, fuck, I would love to be on a level where I could actually have 2 people working for me, breaking out things that understand my humor and are funny as well. That's always sort of I have such a I'll do it myself mindset because I feel like I know that I will do the thing right. And I'm always hesitant to have other people. I'm always hesitant to trust people that I don't know to trust their sense of humor, just because I feel like it's like I know what I think is funny, and I may not think what you think is funny. I love Tim the Tapman because he has a great team of people working for him that make funny breakouts and clip things out, and his producer essentially remotely controls his stream from his place. So whenever he needs to go to the restroom, the producer will bring up a like basically a Be Right Back screen, but it's a compilation of funny moments that have happened in the stream or a recent funny moment that happened, and that'll kind of pop up like not full screen, but just it'll just kind of be sitting on top of the empty chair kind of view. And I think that's so clever and so smart. So Tim the Tapman is definitely somebody that I really admire when it comes to just being a streamer and always looking for the funny in things, and also not taking things too serious, because I definitely take things too serious, and I can get too salty if I'm dying a lot and chat is laughing at me. And Tim the Tatman has fucking 900 times, 9,000 times my view count, and they are all talking shit about him, and they are all making fun of him. But he is so good at just kind of taking the criticism and making it into making it into content, and I admire the hell out of that. I admire Lannon Laserbeam. I haven't really watched a video of Lannon's in a while, but I just think his drive, and he's very much like me, where he is going to edit all of his stuff, and I think he's finally started reaching out and looking for other people to help out. But for the longest time, he was just the hardest worker, and I think he's deserved every penny that he's earned. Those are the first two names that come to mind. Obviously, there's a million people I could mention. Alana, I think, is fantastic in her selflessness and always wanting to give away to charity and always wanting to help out other people and always wanting to say and do the right thing. And I'll also give a shout out to Carl Jacobs, who is mega famous now and understands that he has an audience that are very, very young, and he is setting a good example for what, at least so far, of what, when it comes to Black Lives Matter and when it comes to equality and when it comes to not being racist, not being transphobic, not being homophobic. I think he has done a great job with his young audience, because they are so impressionable right now, and he is setting a good example of how to just be a good person. Don't be an asshole, don't be a dick. If you're going to be that way, we don't want you around here. And I think that's an important way to be and act in today's day and age.
Perfect.
Khalif Adams too. Khalif as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fuck, I can go on and on now that I've opened it up. Khalif just doing an incredible job with Black Lives Matter, with Black Heritage Month, with helping out minorities in the industry. Again, when I put out that Twitter thread with all of the easy and free ways to get a hold of software and take advantage of your creativity, and hey, if you're the funny person in your group, learn these softwares and learn how to video edit, and you will find a place in this industry. And it was addressed to people of color, and I got one response from one douchebag that doesn't even follow me. Oh, I'm white, does that mean I can't use it? And I responded like, no, of course not. Like, no, this is only for, I don't want white, like, no white people allowed. I just said that just to piss him off, because fuck that person. But I mean, obviously that thread is for anybody that wants to learn these things, but I put it out for people of color because I know that growing up, I didn't think that these things were a possibility. I didn't think that going to an art school was a possibility. Growing up in the Rio Grande Valley, I didn't think that being in video game development was a possibility. I thought I would just become a teacher and live back home. Like that I feel like that. And if I thought that, I can't imagine how it feels for a Muslim woman living in this neighborhood, or a black woman living in this neighborhood. And I know that those opportunities may seem like they aren't possibilities, but they absolutely are. And I think Khalif's done a great job with that. And I just want people of color to understand that you're not stuck where you are. And you can get into this industry. And I know with us, majority of our fan base are white males, and that's just the fact of it. And we love hiring from our audience. We love hiring from people that watch us and know us and love us. And we just like hiring from the community. That's how we've been. Well, if we continue to do that, though, we're going to be a company of just more white guys. And we want to be more diverse. And I know that there are people of color out there in the listening or watching our content that don't know that these things are a possibility. And so I just want again, it's one of those things where if it's like a double-edged sword, right? If we keep on hiring, we want to be more diverse, we want to encourage diversity, but if we keep hiring from our community, we're going to end up with a lot more white people, and that's just the fact of it. And that sounds bad. That sounds like I'm against hiring white people, right? But I want to be a more diverse company, um and I think it's just important for people of all color and walks of life to understand that it is a possibility to do these things and to get into the industry. And just because you are stuck where you're at doesn't mean that you are going to be stuck there for the rest of your life. And so many people want to work in the industry and make a name for themselves. And you can't just do it by podcasting. You have to branch out. You're not just going to get a job by saying, "Oh, I have a podcast, hire me." Like, that's just not how it works. You have to venture out and learn how to edit. You have to venture out and learn other skills to eventually show people like us or Funhouse or Achievement Hunter or any of these other online groups that you may be fans of. It's absolutely possible to get into this industry. You just have to learn another type of skill. And I'm so happy that somebody responded to that thread and said, "Thank you for this, Andy. This is so much better than when like people on the right say, just learn how to program." Like, it's possible to get into these fields, and you can absolutely do it. And again, that thread was that thread was addressed to people of color, but obviously I want anybody to take advantage of that. I want any creatives to take advantage of that. And this is a long-winded answer, so I just wanted to make those things clear, because like it always is this thing where we want to have more diversity, and it's difficult to do so when we look at the all-stars in our community, and it's like, well, if we keep hiring the all-stars in our community, then we are going to be a group full of just more white people, and I don't think that encourages diversity. But I still want to encourage people to continue working on their creativity and understand that you can do this. You can absolutely get into this industry. And I don't even know what the question was. I blacked out.
I think a quick note to that end, like one thing that I've been noticing out of Kind of Funny content since Andrea Renee left, was that there's that lack of female presence. Like, you guys have been great getting female guests on, but that consistent female presence on shows is definitely sorely missed when certain topics come up. So I mean, yeah, that's just a small part of diversity that can really help change the way we look at things and the information that you guys are talking about.
Yeah, 1000%. I mean, I'm really happy we're talking about this, because it's something I've been wanting to talk about, but it's so hard to address. I know like Dan Stapleton got really attacked when he was like, "Hey, black writers, we want to hire you. You just need to reach out to us." And then people were responding, "Here's all these black writers that you're just not really opening your eyes to." But it's absolutely true, because we love hiring from our community, but I don't know if that'll continue to be possible. And we aren't Rooster Teeth of 2013, where we can just hire anybody and everybody. We aren't even necessarily looking for. It's not like we could just hire another host to host a show that doesn't exist, or to replace somebody else on another show. Like, I think we're set in what we're doing, but we will likely need a new editor in the future. We will likely need another person to edit this, or another person to, maybe run this other department that doesn't exist quite yet. And I totally agree with the lack of female representation. I absolutely agree. And like, fucking trust me, I wish we had all the money in the world to just hire whoever we wanted, but we're still a really, really young company, and I will never forget. There was an interaction I had with a black guy on Twitter who said, "I don't know who they're going to hire, but they're probably not going to be black, because Kind of Funny doesn't like hiring black people, obviously." Said something like that. and it really like hurt me, because clearly that person doesn't ever. That person probably only watches Kind of Funny Games content, which I'm never on, and doesn't get to hear me speak about how I feel about inclusivity and diversity. And I was like, first off, like, totally not true. Like, to say we don't like black people, like, that's such a weird fucking thing to say. That's just calling somebody racist. But also, we aren't a 40-person company comprised of 30 white people and maybe a couple of Latin people and a couple of Asian people and a couple, you know, like, this isn't a 70%, 80% white person company where we are a 40 or 50 person team. Like, we're still a really small team that is still growing. And like, I wish I just had unlimited funds and I could make this company super diverse and fun and have all the right people in the right spots. But it's just not reality. It's not a possibility right now for us, at least, you know. Again, the Rooster Teeth of 2013, that could just hire anybody and everybody from the community, and they were, you know, like, what shit. When I got hired, the company was, I think I was hired 200 something, and then in a year it had grown to like 400 something. Because it was just every animator from every walk of life, and we're just not there yet. But absolutely, I would love to. You know, women have been approached to be in certain jobs that just couldn't be in those jobs because of not only availability, but what's the word I'm looking for? When you're kind of tied to a company, so a conflict of interest.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, so like some hires that have been, you know, thrown out there that were unfortunately denied, you know, because of conflict of interest or because of unavailability. It's like, damn, that person is the perfect person. And it's not only because they are a Muslim woman or a black woman or something, or just a woman at all, right? But it's because they're fucking great at their job, and I would have loved for them to run that spot, and they would have been incredible at it. But because of certain issues, they had to decline. And then when announcements get made, it's like, here goes Kind of Funny with more white people. It's like, oh, if only, like, you just can't say that, you know. So it stinks, but we're trying to make that better every day. We're trying to work on that. I think we've done a great job of that. I think we are setting a really good example for what it looks like to, you know, to bring in people from, again, all walks of life. And I've probably repeated myself a million times already, but I'm glad we're bringing this up, because it's something I've always wanted to get off my chest that I don't think Twitter is the right avenue for sure.
Yeah, that's
That's
really
awesome.
really good way to end the show. I think that's fantastic. Definitely, this is probably the most like real show we've done. Usually,
I mean, Cool Greg was pretty real.
Cool Greg was
Just
pretty
saying.
great. But yeah, thank you,
Cool
Andy.
Greg's always real, man. I miss Cool Greg.
Yeah, shout out to Cool Greg. Thank you so much.
Did you have anything you wanted to throw out there or shell out today?
No, I mean, I would just appreciate you all supporting and you all continuing the KFAF dream. I think it's really awesome, and I hope a lot of people see this and get encouraged to continue that creativity. And just thank you for your all support and your all's eyes and ears and watch time. Appreciate that.
And I wanted to say real quick, congratulations to that stream for raising all that money for families in Texas. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was awesome. That was fun. And again, I hope that we can all kind of continue to do that. And yeah, I think, you know, I don't want to ever act like I am the super well off, because obviously, like, I still have my debts and I still live in an apartment with other roommates. But when I have money to give, I hope I can help be part of that example, like Alana is setting, you know, and give to people that need it more than you do. Like when I got that stimulus check, and it's like, I could probably put this money and, you know, put it towards that new TV I want, but do I really need that, or do other people need that more than I do? So I hope to kind of continue trying to be the good example that I think Alana's really inspired me to be, and Khalif and other people in this space. So
Absolutely.
Nice. And thank you so much again for coming on the show, and thank you for everything you and everyone at Kind of Funny do. Andy, it's been a great show.
appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. All right, let's go through everybody, I guess. Al, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
Al Tribesman on everything.
Josh, where can people find you?
No way. Please don't follow me on Twitter.
Go follow Josh at JC Lego Man and tell him what your favorite set of Mega Blocks are. He loves reading that stuff.
He loves Mega Blocks too.
Phil, where can people find you?
You can find me at Phil J. Woodward on Twitter, as well as Philip J. Woodward on Twitch.
Robin,
You can find me at twitter.com at therobingl.
Ben,
Oh, you can find me at all the places. So please, the letter B, excited on Twitch and Twitter. You can find me at the OU Pod, where we review TV shows, movies. We've got a sports show now as well. Head over there and check it out. It's always a good time with my my buddy over there, Al Tribesman and Ambelina. So yeah, check that one out. It's good. Oh,
When do
and
you-
Game
wh-
Sass.
when do you go live, Ben?
So I normally go live. It's normally, I do Please Be Excited plays. It's normally Sunday morning my time, which is normally Pacific Standard Time. Normally sort of midday, probably afternoon. Yeah.
Okay. I just always wonder, like, I never know the people's schedules. I know whenever people are not in America, sometimes it's always Thomas who hops into my stream, and that's when I know I should be asleep because he's online.
It's like with Fran. I think normally when I stream at night, it's just Fran and maybe Norza and a
Yeah, it's
couple of
always
other people.
Fran. It's always Fran. Well, get
Maybe
+3
MC fix
agility
it.
on this. Yeah.
all right, you can find me at GF2Cool on Twitter. You can find Andy at Maximum Cortez. Of course, you can check us out here on youtube.com/SimplySassyVids, I believe is the URL now. Stick around. We don't have an Out of Our League booked this coming weekend. Oh well, we might be able to work something out, but stick around for later in the month. On the, I have the date right here, the 20th. The 20th, we're going to be joined by Asa Green River. And on the 27th, we're going to be joined by the one and only Cameron Kennedy. So that's going to be a lot of fun being able to chat with them.
I'm so excited for Ace's stream.
It's going to be
For
awesome.
sure.
If you guys haven't yet, go check out Game Sass. There's a lot of fun to make. Leave your comments and concerns about it. See if we can work up an even better second episode. And I guess until next time, we'll see you then. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.